Good afternoon, it's Dr. Garrett. Today let's talk a little bit about B9, which is folate. So folate is super important for a lot of different reasons in the body. It can help to calm down ADHD symptoms. It can help call for the stimulation and the release of some key neurotransmitters, one of them being GABA. Now, we know GABA as the neurotransmitter that can help you feel at peace. It helps to lower anxiety and to calm you down. Now, there's another one that folate helps to balance, and that is serotonin. Now, serotonin is the neurotransmitter that helps you to feel at peace. It helps you to sleep. It's also what stimulates the production of melatonin, which can help you to sleep a little bit better. So that's why we really like serotonin. Now, about 95% of serotonin is made in the gut, which is another story for another day, because if you have leaky gut, then you're going to have problems with your serotonin. But again, when we're thinking about folate, it is going to call for the stimulation and the secretion of serotonin. Now, when we have both of these in balance, GABA and serotonin, it helps the adrenal glands to call for the stimulation of dopamine. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter that gives you purpose, drive, and focus. It keeps you going for the day. Now, not all folate is the same. We really like to get folate from our foods, and you can get folate out of legumes, things like black beans. About a cup of black beans has about 250 micrograms of folate in it, and that's about 60% of your daily required intake. So folate in black beans is a great source. It also gives you like 15 grams of fiber, which is another story for another day, but very important as well. Now, when we think about folate, we can also get it from green leafy vegetables, things like kale, cabbage, arugula, romaine. We can get it from things like collard greens and chard as well. So keep that in mind. But when we think about folate, not all are created the same. Some people get multivitamins, and the multivitamins will say something like folic acid. Folic acid is a synthetic form of folate, and it is not very good for the body at all. There are certain people who have a genetic condition called like MTHFR, which we'll talk about in depth here in a second. And if you have that and you're taking folic acid, it can build up to unhealthy levels in the body because your body cannot get rid of it very well. It gets all gummed up in your liver as it's going through the CYP, or the cytochrome 450 enzymatic pathway. And so that's why we don't really like folic acid. We would prefer a natural form like folate. Now let's talk about genes, because genes have a lot to do with a lot of things in the body. So number one, there is a certain gene. It can be a combination of the gene or one or the other form. There are two forms, and this is MTHFR. What this means is that you cannot methylate your B vitamins easily. You are missing a methyl group or an enzyme that helps you to create energy and to be able to utilize or assimilate these vitamins. So what does that mean in layman's terms? The way that I explain it to my patients is this. If I wanted to bake a cake and I go out to a field and I grab some wheat berries, I bring it in, I throw it in my NutriMill, I grind them up, and I make flour out of it, and that flour then bakes a cake, and that is the process of methylation. So what's happening is you cannot take the vitamins in their raw form and create energy out of them because you're missing that enzyme or that methyl group. So what you need to do is you need to take a methylated vitamin like L-methylfolate, because the methyl group is already in there, which will help you to create energy easily. Now, let's talk a little bit about genes. Just because you have a gene doesn't necessarily mean it's being expressed. There are like 20 to 40,000 genes. I don't remember the exact number, but there are a lot of them. And I want you to think about those like books in a library. So just because there's 20 to 40,000 books on a bookshelf does not necessarily mean that the librarian has taken them down and read all of them. So there are certain factors that will cause genes to express. Poor sleep, that's one of the biggest ones. Environmental factors like quality of air, toxins, like mold, certain medications, all of these can turn on and off genes. So that's why you need to make sure that you're eating nice and healthy, getting plenty of sleep, getting outside, enjoying the great outdoors, deep breathing, drinking your water, all of those things. And that will help keep genes from being expressed. Now, if you think you have MTHFR, what do we do? How do we look at it? The most definitive way is absolutely a gene test to see if that's an issue. But there are some clinical signs that we look for in the office, Alicia and I. One of them is on your lab work. So when we're looking at your CBC or your complete blood count, what we are looking at is how you are methylating vitamins. So we'll be looking at your MCV, which is usually related to B12, and we'll be looking at your MCHC, which can be related to anemias, but moreover, it's related to folate. And so if we see alterations in these patterns, then this can be indicative of MTHFR, and then we're gonna have you stick out your tongue. And we're gonna see if you have scalloped tongue, so it looks like someone took their fingernail and cut out the edges of your tongue. If we see that, then most of the times it usually means you're having issues with your B vitamins and most likely a genetic mutation. But again, the most definitive way is genetic test. Now, let's say that you got a kiddo that has ADHD and they are being crazy. You're like, I have them on methylated vitamins. Why are we having all these problems, these meltdowns? Why are they worse on these methylated vitamins? It could be that they have a second genetic mutation, or a third, or a fourth. It could be a genetic mutation in their MR gene, their MRR gene, or their HMT1 gene. So those are some other things that we need to think about. If that is the case, then they need folinic acid, not folic, folinic. And this will right all of the wrongs there. So again, just to recap, folate is super important for our bodies. We need it to help ascribe and to help assimilate other nutrients. We need it for our brain health, specifically for our brain health. It can also help reduce fatigue, it gives you more energy, helps with memory and cognition. Early studies look like it is warding off dementia as well. Again, it helps with neurotransmitters. You know it has to do something in the brain. We can get it from green leafy vegetables. We can get it from legumes, especially black beans. We can get this from things like avocados as well. If we are going to supplement, then what we want to supplement is starting with an L-methylfolate. Regardless of who you are, whether or not you have the genetic condition or not, the methylated one is easier on the body, better absorbed. Stay away from folic acid, not good for you. And if you think you have a genetic condition like MTHFR, get a gene test or have someone who is well versed in reading lab reports, let you know if it looks like an MTHFR genetic mutation based off of your labs, where then you could go forward. If your kiddo or you are getting worsening symptoms of ADHD or brain issues, cognitive decline or cognitive function impairment, based off of, more dogs in my woods, after you started taking the L-methylfolate, then maybe you need a folinic acid. So this is Dr. Garrett, and today we are talking about B9 folate. Super important for you. So go out, eat some black beans, throw them on a salad, throw them in an omelet, throw them on a taco, eat them plain. They're delicious for you.